Hello again, everyone. I am Gary Godso, and welcome to Velocity Online Racing's channel coverage of Round 3 of Season 2 of the Global IndyCar Challenge as we come today back from another oval at Charlotte Motor Speedway, one that we don't hit very often. Happy New Year, everyone. Hope we're now a week into this first of the year, and hope your first week has been a good one, as we are now getting back on the schedule for the Global IndyCar Championship. Joining me as always is Jack James. Jack, welcome back to the booth. Happy New Year. And welcome to Charlotte, a place that we don't come to very often, even in the history of the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Series. Only one time in their entire 15 seasons of history we've been here. But we're going to take a shot at it today here in the Global IndyCar Challenge with a lot of drivers that might not be used to this place. It's very fast. It's kind of smooth, but it's very, very narrow. These corners, they're 24 degrees of banking, look like you have tons of room. But when you get more than two cars wide here, it gets pretty dicey.
Yeah, no, 100%. And Happy New Year, everyone. Like you say, Gary, thank you for having me back for, what is this, my second time for GIC. And yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I was doing my research for this race and couldn't find too much history about IndyCar coming to this circuit in the sort of league sense form of things. And I was running a few laps yesterday or the day before, I can't quite remember. But yeah, we've got slightly hotter track temps this time. I think it's going to be very difficult to get your overtaking done further into stints. I think you're going to, like you say, like you mentioned in the pre-show, we're going to have some 5-lap windows where you can make some overtakes. That's when most of the action is going to be, and then I think it's going to be a very much waiting game and trying to avoid the walls, especially on the exit of turn 4. I noticed that it can easily get a little bit too tight. Someone can brush a wall a little bit, like we saw in the Velocity Online Racing Series a couple of days ago at Fontana. But one thing I want to point out that drivers definitely need to watch out for is the tri-oval apron. I was doing some pack racing with a few friends of mine, and yeah, it's pretty lethal. You hardly need to get even a wheel on the apron there, and you can find yourself heading towards the pit road wall pretty fast.
Get into the points here real quick whenever we're ready to bring those up on the screen. Luis Nunez, who won the earliest race this season at first race this season rather at Nürburgring, is our points leader, followed by Liam O'Sullivan, Julien Altena in third, Vogelzang in fourth. Clindy in his one-off effort winning at Indy is fifth, but we probably will not be seeing Clindy for the rest of the season. Jesper Dahlgren, we're probably not seeing him today either. He is sixth in the points. And then we have Charles, Eli, and Gavin running out the remainder of the top 9. And going a little bit further, I think Hatsuma is actually tied. There's like a 3-way tie for 9. So the points are still kind of packed up. But the critical thing, JJ, about this series and season is only 6 races. So you got to be on it almost every single race. And, you know, we've seen big wrecks happen here at these style of ovals. If a driver gets into an incident that's high up in the points, it might shake them down into, you know, maybe they're in the middle of the top 10 now, but at the end of this race, they could be fighting to stay inside the top 15. That's how tight we are. And we just don't have a lot of races that really count toward points this season.
Yeah, that's the main thing that I wanna touch on as well. Actually, I'm glad you brought it up. It's the 6 round championship. You literally cannot afford to have a DNF if you're gunning for that championship. If you want to get a good result come season close, you really need to. There's going to be times where you want to sort of back out a little bit, as Pim, I think, finds the wall there on his qualifying run. That's not going to be an ideal run for him. Hopefully he can find some time to recover throughout the race. But yeah, going back to the 6 round championship, from what I know, there's no drop rounds, so you have to make every result count, and you can't really afford to get a little bit hot-headed like the Paul Tracy's out there. You need to wind it in a bit, and you need to sort of focus on consistency and scoring the points rather than going for the big balls win.
And we are getting ready to grid up and go racing. But before we do, originally scheduled to appear on the September 1980 IndyCar schedule. It was on the schedule, but was canceled. For real life, they were supposed to come here. But the Indy Racing League finally made its first appearance at Charlotte in 1997 with follow-up races in 98 and 99. The track record set by Tony Stewart when he drove for Team Menard with a speed of 220.498. And I believe in practice, the top 7, at least the top 7, were faster than that speed. So nearly 30 years after the fact, this continues to be the existing track record at CMS. Your career IndyCar leaders here at Charlotte are a pair of Indy 500 champs. Buddy Lazier won the inaugural Visionaire 500K here in 97 for a second career IndyCar win. Kenny Brack won here in 98. And that's it. There was the third race they reran here. We'll talk about a little bit if we get into some downtime, but the third race never really officially completed. And we'll talk about that here a little bit later. But let's get into the starting lineup here for our 208 lap, 500 kilometer race here in the heart of stock car country. On the pole is F-Tink and O'Sullivan. They're up on the front row there, followed by Law and Christensen in row 2. So a whole bunch of Altena Autosports cars up in the first 3 rows, including the leader of the Altena Autosport gang himself, Julien. He is there in the row 3. Then Vogelzang is right next to him, the first of the, first of class cars not in the Altena Autosport class, back in row 3. Then we got Pim Van Gastel, Sissek in row 4, Gardner and Steinecker in row 5. Moving on back to the second portion of the top 10, we have to the top 20, Salvazzi and Dory in row 6, Vincia and Fiolis in row 7, Heisman and Charpentier, in row 8, Deck and Stock in row 9, Luis Nunez will be watching him coming from the back of the pack. He's in row 10 with Rise. As the field begins to move out, then we got Hatsuma and Ortiz in row 11. 22 cars here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and frankly, that's a pretty good number. That's about everything, even when the Indy Racing League came here for real, it's about what they fielded in real life. So we'll see plenty of racing and side-by-side action here on this 1.5-mile, 24-degree banked quad oval that IndyCar has only raced on for real, well, in races that count 2 times, but for real 3 times.
Yeah, one person I want to keep an eye on that you mentioned there, Gary, is Luis Nunez. He's all the way down in 19th place, one of our early championship contenders. He's had some strong results in the first 2 races. He won at Nürburgring, and he was, I think, 3rd or on the podium at Indianapolis behind the 2 IAR guys that we don't have with us this evening, rather. Well, it depends where you are in the world. Could be afternoon, morning, or evening. But we're going to have to really watch his progress as we go through this race. I mean, 208 laps. It's a lot of time, but also not a lot of time, especially if you're starting somewhere like 19th.
Right, if we don't have any cautions, this race, with over 200 mile per hour lap averages, will be over really, really quick as pace cars off field to the command up F-Tink and O'Sullivan as they come to the restart zone. And green flag is out, and we are off. And look at all the Altena Autosports cars split up at the front. Nice jump by Christensen on the high side. He moves up the third spot as he's now already challenging for second as we are down the backstretch. And F-Tink is staying on the bottom. He is protected. We're going to go 3 wide. I told you can't do that very well here. We do that, although the continuation are almost on the finish of lap 1. As now we go 2 wide, 2 by 2 by 2 down the front straight. Completion of lap 1. It is F-Tink, O'Sullivan, Law. We had a car clip going through the quad oval. Not sure who that was. There's F-Tink, O'Sullivan, Law, Altena, and Christensen.
think that was Sasek that found his way through the grass on lap 1/2 going through the tri-oval. And I said, I said in the pre-race, you need to watch that front left tire, because if you tag that inside apron, you find yourself doing exactly what Eli Sasek has found himself doing. I watched the rejoin on my screen, and my word, it was nearly a very, very early caution. Everyone kept themselves just about out of the wall, but we'll surely get that on replay in a few moments' time. But out of the front, it's still the Altena Roto sports cars, number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So no real changes for them. Everyone's sort of holding ground, bar that incredibly close 3-wide action at the start from, I believe it was Roden F. Tink at the bottom, Liam O'Sullivan in the middle, and John Christensen that found himself sort of squeezed out at the top of the circuit. But everything sort of seems to be spacing out a little bit more. We've, just kind of got through that first few laps of drama, and hopefully we'll see some more action later on in this race, and hopefully some good overtakes as well.
Gaggle the car is a little bit further back as we watch this battle for the lead, but right around Pim Van Gastel, Dory, Gardner, and Heisman, they are all jockeying for position rather fiercely early on, and they have to. One of the things we talked about in the pre-race is really in day races, especially when you get some heat into the tarmac here, and the tires degrade as we see the inside, a good send there through the middle. I think there might have been a little bit of a lip there. That was, I believe, Steinecker. But you really have a very small window of how good the tires are and when you can get your passing done here before it becomes single file and a bit of a procession race. And it really happens inside the first 6 laps, and we are just at the end of that window right now, coming to the completion of lap 7. Maybe some of these drivers a little bit further back, such as Luis Nunez, who's up 6 spots to 13th, is saving his tires a little bit. But those of us, those up at the front racing hard, your tires are already pretty warm at this point, and the good of them are worn off. And now it's just kind of holding on and trying to maintain your position and get to that first of what could be as many as 6, but probably 4 or 5 pit stops this afternoon.
Yeah, I think once again it's going to be a little bit like a race that me and Julien covered a few days ago at Phoenix. Because Steinecker gets very close to the apron there. Or was that Nunez, actually? It might have been. Got very close to that inside apron once again, and he's still on the move. He's up 6 spots. The other big mover in this race so far is Dan Huysman, who found his way slightly aggressively past one of his competitors. I think it was about 2 laps ago, but I think that might be a strategy that these two are sort of trying to pick out from the start. Try and make your moves early, as we watch Onboard and Nunez try to find his way to the inside. Saying no thank you is Henk Jan Steinecker. He's going to hold on for a little bit more, but I think it's going to be trying to delay
a little bit of a Pruitt fade there as he tried to shut the door, and Luis Nunez goes underneath and says, I got the position, nice try. You're not going to get me 2 times in a row.
He's not hanging about here. He's going straight up at the inside of, who's that in front of him? He's gone straight past Gardner as well, so really not hanging about. He really wants to get back up. He knows he's fighting for a championship. He must have been listening to what we were talking about with the no drop rounds, every point counts. And I think, in these sort of more strategic races, you might see less drivers going all out push, pedal to the metal at the start. And I think that's what's really doing Nunez the benefit of the doubt here. He's one of the only guys that's really sort of pushing on at the start here. I think a lot of these guys are going to try and extend, as we've got a replay coming up now.
Ventier looks like he smacks the wall a little bit. Not sure exactly where. Oh, wow. Weird. Getting loose in the quad oval area.
Yeah, it's just, I think if we see the onboard, you'll see he'll just touch the left-hand side wheel on that apron. So he's touched the apron there.
Apron bad.
Seems to be okay. And yeah, look at that. Ever so slightly, and he just goes straight through the grass. Luckily, there's no sort of protective pit wall at this circuit like some ovals do. I mean, well, we sort of do, but it's almost like they gave up halfway through.
Right.
He managed to avoid that and can keep himself running, but I don't think he's got a penalty. I'm looking at my timing screen because sometimes you can get a black flag for going through the pit lane and crossing over and stuff, but. I'm hearing that he just about managed to avoid that, so that's a lucky moment for him earlier on in this one.
So if you're interested, that little first dog leg on the front stretch, it has kind of a painted, it used to be painted tarmac, or at least was treated like painted tarmac in the sim. I remember back in the old scan of this track, you could clip that pretty good to try to save a little time, and there was also a little bit of leeway given before you actually got an X there. That is, I believe, now in the real world, kind of painted field turf, astroturf that you kind of see what football teams play on. And if you clip that, that will loosen up the back end of your car, and that's kind of what you saw there. But sometimes, like I said, in the old scan of the track, it would kind of be treated as like painted tarmac, and you could actually clip it and not have that way. But again, sim racing now being true to life, more of a simulation, and it probably wouldn't work in real racing, and it's not going to work well here in sim racing. Back up to the front as we watch Luis Nunez now in the 8th spot. Update everybody where we are at lap 16 coming to 17 is FT, your leader. Liam O'Sullivan is second. Lal is in third. Julien Altena fourth. Christensen is in fifth. They have been like this for the better part of the last 10 laps, although the top 3 has started to pull away a little bit. But we got another replay coming up here of another incident. Here is that incident at the start. Very reminiscent of what we saw just a little bit ago with the other incident, clipping a little bit of that AstroTurf in the first dogleg, JJ.
Yeah, this is going to be, I think, one of those reoccurring things that we could potentially see cause our first caution of the evening today, especially when cars are sort of getting closer and wanting to, minimize the distance traveled, aka trying to get as close to the bottom of the racetrack as possible. I think that's when we're going to see a few guys sort of starting to slip up a little bit, make a few mistakes, and especially as the race gets on. This is a pretty short oval we're here on today at Charlotte, so things come up fast. And what I wanted to point out actually with Luis Nunez up 11 spots, he's really sort of got the foot down, and he's really knows what he needs to do. He's up there in the championship at the moment. He wants to stay that way, and he's getting on with it and getting the job done.
Caught Vogelzang, where he's going to take a stab at him in the inside, going into 3 and 4. And if you get to the bottom here, when you make your pass, the bottom is the fastest lane. The high side, you don't get a lot of that extra momentum that we see at some of these high banked ovals with these Indy cars. On the high side, with the when you get the momentum down the backstretch, and watch this, even with Salvazzi running the high line, he's able to hold on a little bit there. But right now, if there it is, and Luis Nunez goes to the inside. He gets that inside. He's going to get the dirty air from Christensen, but he's going to slide up, and he'll shut the door on Salvazzi. So move Nunez now up 13 spots to P6.
What I've noticed over these last few laps, especially off of turn 4, these cars are getting so light. As we've got a replay here. This is Chris Rise into turn 3 and 4. Takes the middle of the race track. A little bit of aggro on the in-sim voice over this incident. And I believe it's a 4X somewhere. So everything's sort of okay at the moment, sort of running their own race. Lovely bit of space being given. And I believe, I think I know what this is actually. I think this is into turn 3. There's going to be a touch. There we go, yeah. Almost into the outside wall. And these two are actually still together on live pictures. So they haven't swapped places as we ride on board now with Ortiz. Yeah, that was very lucky.
We'll just watch a little bit further. Christensen got loose off of 4, and he has now lost a position to Nunez, and now lost another one to Salvazzi. But I'm sorry, we were kind of splitting between different battles on the racetrack. Is a little bit further back, Dory and Heisman, they're side by side, and Heisman to the inside. He got loose off of 2, so these tires are now starting to go away at lap 23 in this stint.
Yeah, just watching Christensen get a little bit wide there, and that's what caused him to lose the place very close there. But on live pictures, I don't know if we want to get a look at this. You've got Toby Deek and we've got Chris Rise all sort of in this gaggle of cars together. There was a little bit of argy-bargy from what I could see out of the commentary window while we were taking a look at this replay, but the cars are really starting to get loose, especially off of 4 and 2. I know that there's a lot of like camber drop away. You sort of go down a bit of a hill a little bit as we now look at Aman Lal and F-Tank for second place.
I think Deck and Ortiz, right now, it's tough to turn your head in a position and watch a battle that doesn't involve a loose car someplace on the racetrack. It's probably making our producer mad. Ortiz and Deck back, they're side by side, but they've about lost it on multiple occasions. And I can see what happened with Ortiz and Rice before. Might have been a little bit of net code there as he got a good run. Oh, gosh. Hatsuma on the high side. Excuse me, that's Deck and Vinci. Excuse me, side by side. And they're just, Team Penske livery of Deck is super loose right now at the moment. He is probably trying to work those tools and those roll bars to get that car to behave. He badly wants to come to pit road, and he's going to get passed by Hatsuma, who tiptoes on by. But we got some cars out there that need to hit pit road. Remember, this is an open setup race.
I think that's what we definitely could tell in qualifying. I wanted to point that out, actually. I was glad you mentioned that. You know, compared to the VOR series, which a lot of these guys race in as well, that's fixed setup. This is open setup. So the drivers will put however much time they desire into designing their own Dallara IR18 to their liking. And it seems that Altena Autosport have sort of got it nailed in the quali aspect of things. But yeah, I think, especially with, you know, the fact that you don't really give your tires that much of a break in terms of cornering forces around this circuit. When I was doing a few laps, you know, it doesn't take long, especially when you're sat behind someone, for you to start getting red lights, you know, flashing at you, especially for the right side tires and more so the right rear. That suffers a lot, and that's the one you want to be leaning on, especially off of turn 2 and turn 4, where you want to get that steering wheel straight and really sort of use the massive amount of power that you've got underneath you. And I think these guys, you know, sort of struggling to find the balance between oversteer and understeer, starting to use the weight jacker a little bit too much. And I think that you can agree with me, Gary, when I say that that can be a slippery slope if you sort of abuse it too much early on.
Much weight jacker normally makes your car loose on exit. So you got to be careful. We are now at lap 30, and the first of the 6-stop window is open. So if anyone wants to do a 6-stop window, it might not be a bad idea to do an extra stop here in this race. It would help if we got some cautions. We might actually see some cautions if they run these stints to completion with these tires going away. But the 6-stop window opens at lap 29:30. The 5-stop window opens at 34 and 35, and we are right there watching a battle right now. Nunez over Eftik, who started up front. He is now faded down to 4th and moved Nunez, up to P3, as he's also passed Julien Altena, who's back at 5th, now Christensen in 6th. So Nunez is the only car that's really being able to make these used tires work, while everyone else is kind of hanging on, with the exception of our leaders, of O'Sullivan and Law. They seem to be pretty comfortable working together up front, but here comes Luis Nunez creeping up on the back of them and down the backstretch. He's going to be joining them very, very shortly. Is watching last lap speeds. It is the top 3 really have a handle on this late stint run right now. O'Sullivan 210, Law 210, Nunez 213. But then when you get into Eftik, Altena, Christensen, everyone below Nunez, everyone is below 210 miles per hour. They're just kind of lifting and hanging on at this point.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how Nunez can perform in sort of clean air, so to say. I mean, he will still be catching potentially a slight bit of draft. You know, he's edging on two seconds back now, but you know, he carved through the field so quickly in these first 34 laps. It's almost like they were standing still. And the only thing I can sort of point that down to is Huisman now comes into the pits, and I believe this is one of our first, if not the first stopper that we've got in this race, coming in on lap number 34. So he made it 33 laps. Expect guys to maybe go 1 or 2 laps more, as we are notified that the drivers have to commit to the pit lane into turn 3. So yeah, there's a bit of paint in just before turn 3, which is used as the road course chicane, a little bit like the Daytona bus stop chicane. Just as that rejoins the circuit, there's a bit of paint that looks a bit like the French flag. Drivers, you'll see it on the right hand side there. Drivers need to get down and sort of drive over that to ensure that they are committed to the pit lane and avoid getting any sort of post-race penalties or anything as such. But you know what, Gary? In the first 36 laps of this race, I've had way more action than I ever would have anticipated.
Hey, this is the heart of stock car country. Be careful what you call red, white, and blue down as the French flag. They might take offense to that down there. But a name that we should take a peek at here. It seems to be doing pretty good and at least managing his tires. And really, we know him as being a fast driver. Just luck one way or another or something normally takes him out of the races. Patrick Silvazzi, he is up 4 spots to 7th. And he has right in front of him a very ill handling. We saw him very loose off of 2. 44 Nation of John Christensen as Silvazzi reeling him in and looking for another position as we are now in the window for pit stops to start happening here at lap 38. The 4-stop window opens here in about 3 laps. Oh, Sissek just slides up in front of Dory there. Remember, he was off into the infield grass a little bit earlier in this race, and as he recovered to P9.
Yeah, I doesn't think he's picked up too much damage from that, if any. I mean, we saw his bumpy ride through the...
damaged
we got
ego.
a spin actually into turn 1. There's someone sat on the grass. I don't know who that was. Let me have a quick look to see who that was looking into the grass. So that's Vinci. Vinci has found himself on the grass on the inside of turn 1. I'm just having a look on my screen, and it's actually another victim of the apron, Gary. He's found the apron, tried to sort it out, and whoa.
That is the 3rd time someone has grabbed that, and I don't think he touches anything. Got real close. We'll see here. We're gonna watch this replay again. I don't think he touches anything damage-wise. He's gonna hit a couple of the bumps, the curbs for the road course that are going to upset this car. Does he get the front?
That's about as Tokyo Drift as you can get it, right?
Go buy your lottery tickets tonight, Andreas. The Hungarian's going to bring that car around and get a new set of tires and stay on the lead lap. But a lot of these drivers that were wanting this caution to happen, and so they could come to pit road, specifically Roden Eftik. He was losing some more positions as we see Heisman almost getting to the back of the field as he was trying to rejoin the field. But I think Heisman will stay out since he just stopped, and he will get the wave around. But everyone's coming to pit road. They badly needed to come to pit road, so everybody decides to make a universal decision to make that stop now.
Yeah, looking at the at this camera shot as they were all driving towards us into pit road, it was almost like a scene from I don't know if anyone's seen it, from Zootopia or Zootropolis. It was very close off of pit road. I don't think there was any changes to the lead. Actually, no. Yeah, so Sullivan is now leading the race. Actually, that's a mistake on my part. Taking too many moments to reference movies and films.
O'Sullivan is the leader. We're going to see when they rejoin here and everything as we watch F-Tank. Did he miss? Yes, he's going to have to roll back. He missed his marks. That's going to cost him a second or so and a couple of positions on pit road. On top of already kind of falling through the ranks with those used tires. Him on the oval with at least this particular oval was not agreeing with his style. But on the racetrack, we have 2 cars. That is Heisman and Deck in front of the leader, Liam O'Sullivan. They will get the wave around here momentarily. They'll be able to rejoin the tail end of the pack 1 lap down. So when you pit here under green, you're going to lose 2 laps. And that's kind of what happened for those guys, unfortunately. So the early stops was not the way to go. But again, being an open setup race, it might have been that they couldn't hang on to the car any longer. And just come in, go for, remember, with an open setup, you can come to pit road, you can change the aero, you can change the air pressure on these cars to kind of make the handling work a little bit better for them. Maybe they've done that, and they still have a better part of 160 or so laps to kind of work their way back up into the order. But down a lap early here for those 2. Up front, though, O'Sullivan's going to pick up the lead and the restart coming the next time around. Lal Nunez, Altena, and Christensen, your top 5. If you enjoy Velocity Online Racing's coverage of Season 2 of the Global IndyCar Global IndyCar Challenge Championship, and you respect the stream, please do us a solid. Make sure you support us by subscribing, and while you're at it, don't forget to smash like and click the bell so you don't miss out on future iRacing broadcasts. So, JJ, a lot of these drivers, especially at the end of this last stint, were kind of white-knuckling it around here. They come to pit road. They're going to reset their tools. They're going to have a fresh set of tires and about 5 or 6 laps to really make these fresh tires work, that they can gain some positions. How do you see this restart going? Do you think some people might get aggressive here, knowing that the tires late in the run just aren't going to be there for them?
No, 100%. I mean, if I was sitting on your sofa watching this, I'd grab the popcorn, I'd grab your favorite drink, and I'd get ready for some action-packed first few laps. I mean, we sort of saw some more action towards the mid and end part of the stint, but I think these first few laps are going to be mega, as we see now O'Sullivan leading us to the restart zone as we've got some checkups further back. Gary, take us away.
He'll spin by, and we're going 3 wide at the line. That was, I believe, Christensen, F-Tink, right around there. They've sorted it out, but into one, it's O'Sullivan, Law, Nunez, Altena, and they are right together. Altena looking on the high side of Nunez, down the backstretch, staying low to protect Liam O'Sullivan. Here comes Law on the high side. Nunez wants to follow O'Sullivan through. He might try to pick up a position. We are jockeying really hard, and there's that aggression level I was anticipating with these new tires, JJ.
Yeah, no, this is going to be really exciting racing as we see the 3 VOR Altena Autosport cars sort of acting like a rolling roadblock to the lone wolf that seems to be Luis Nunez in the fiercely forward-backed. Very, very aggressive defensive moves into turn 3. F-Tink saying, I don't really want you to do that quite just yet, buddy. I want to get that place back. I still want to be in this, but that's really checked everything up. And now, you've got Vogelsang, you've got Christensen, you've got, who else is there? Silvazi, Dory's not too far behind it as well, but we'll hopefully see some more action. But, to be honest with you, with the whoa, another big move from Nunez.
That was well, let's just call it a fade at this point by Nunez.
Yeah, he's really sort of knows what he needs to do. He's up, 14 places since the start of this race, and would have been more should the pit windows cycle through properly. But, talking about the pit windows, if you're Dan Huysman, you are kicking yourself. You pitted just before the caution came out.
And I think he just about ended up in the turn 2 wall in the background there. Purple lap for Julien at 2:18, just to show you what the new tires are going to buy you right now at peak performance, about 10 miles per hour on the racetrack versus their low of about 205, 204, 205, 206, 207 at the end of that last stint that we saw throughout the field. So Julien kicking it up to 218. O'Sullivan up to 218 at one point in this race. F-Tink up to 218. So everybody now kind of kicking it in a high gear with these new tires. 216 for Law last time by. So again, new tires buying you about 8 to 10 miles per hour early on in this stint.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Law, 219.
Whoa. Yeah, we got some serious lap times coming in now from our leader with the fastest 2:19 average lap. But it was almost a little bit like the Altena Autosport cars were sort of driving off into the distance. We saw in the last time round sort of too high, too low, very formation flying like, and it's almost as if these guys are sat in a group voice team speak or something, sort of playing the strategy out, ready to go. But this is sort of what the last thing that Nunez needs is his main championship contenders are. Let's have a look. I would say probably O'Sullivan at the moment. And
Car spinning off of turn 2 to the inside wall. That is Huysman. We're still green. We're still green. We're still green. We're not cautioned yet.
I don't want to say there's any damage to that car. It looks absolutely fine from my point of view, but iRacing sometimes likes to... Whoa. That was very strange. That's not something that I've seen before. I want to blame that on a weight jacker thing, but
that is a little bit of a twitch in the back. That's a little the too much weight jacker. The back end likes to kick out on exit. I've seen in my experience, and that might have been a little too much weight jacker as he was trying to get that car to fight or better through traffic. And sometimes you just warm that right rear up too much to the point that it just can't hang on anymore, and it screams for agony, and it sent him to the inside wall.
So we're still looking at the replay. This is Roden, F-Tink, Luis Nunez, and I believe John Christensen. So this is Nunez getting past Christensen into turn number 1. Is Nunez going to go to the inside? Yes, he is. F-Tink says no. And this is going to be the block, isn't it? Yeah. Very.
As a play-by-play commentator, I cannot make judgment on ruling on that one. Chat, if you want to shout that one out, but that was definitely what we call in the business a Pruitt fade.
You know what? No contact was made and no, bodywork parts went flying. So I'd say it's legal, as I think that is Dan Huisman committing to the pits from what I can see so he dives into the pits. Maybe he has got a little bit of damage, but we focus on the action out on track. John Christensen, he's sort of dropped away off this second restart. He's lost, I'd probably say, the best part of 3 places since the green flag dropped the best part of 10 laps ago. So I wonder if he's sort of splitting away from the rest of his Altena Autosport teammates, whether he wants to go longer or whether he's sort of trying to preserve some tyres, trying to see if there's another, spooky caution that can play into his hands with a bit more tyre life, maybe staying out a little bit longer, trying to do some games or some, teamsmanship to try and help his fellow Altena Autosport cars out. Who knows? It's not something that we haven't seen in this sort of wave of IndyCar seasons and across the different leagues that me and Gary we've covered, and we've seen the best and worst parts of team play, and how you can use your teammates to the best advantage for not only yourself but for teams as well.
Vogelzang and Fiola's having a pretty good battle back here for 12th and 13th. Another, we're watching a little bit more in this, and car almost into the inside wall there. That was Gardner. Yeah, he goes off of 2, got loose, caught it, and he is back underway, but a bit of an shoot moment, let's say.
Yes, these cars seem like such a handful, almost like they're too quick for this circuit at this current moment in time as he comes off, and this is going to be very close. Yeah, look at that. Massive save. You hardly saw the steering wheel move, but from where we were watching, he moved the best part of, I'd say, it's just 10 meters from one side of the circuit all the way to the other to try and save that one. But one thing I wanted to say is Andreas Vinci, who caused that caution for us, he has since disconnected from the race server. So unfortunately for him, maybe a little bit too much damage on the car, or maybe dropping a little bit too far off this too early on and deciding to call it a day. So unfortunate for him. Hopefully we'll see him back stronger at Fuji. But what can you do, eh? Sometimes things just don't go your way. Anyway, looking back on screen, we have the best part of Luis Nunez against, I believe that is Julien in front of him. This is going to be interesting, Gary.
Yeah, you're looking at the former champion of the 2 former champions of the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship. Caution on the racetrack, and also the champion of the GIC for Season 1, and that is Deck, who is demolished his car off of turn 2 in the inside wall. And again, you talked about the cars being too fast for this circuit. He didn't come to a stop until the entrance of turn 3, but wrecked off of turn 2.
Car seems to be twitching so much down the back straight anyway. This is 3 and 4. Apron comes over the crest. Twitches again. That must have some sort of wheel damage, no? A car can't be twitching that much and still be super fast, no?
Again, and then he comes up off, trying to see. Yeah, he just, you might have got back a little bit too far on the replay, but I think if we move forward, he gets dirty air from the car in front of him. And it goes right up the racetrack into the wall, and then you basically become glued to the wall. And how he didn't take out Chris Rise, I have no clue. But he became glued to the wall, and then he pulled the car off it, and then it was just too much wheel input when everything bit, and he goes to the inside, and that is a pretty vicious wreck. But again, it shows you just how fast these cars are running. You talked about them being too fast here. Much like in 2001 when the kart series went to Texas, and the drivers were suffering from vertigo.
Yes.
They would wreck off of turn 2. I think Adrian Fernandez had a wreck there where he wrecked off of turn 2, and the car didn't come to a rest until the middle of turns 3 and 4. So, again, very much the same thing happening here, as I think we're going to have a bunch of people coming to pit road because they know that they just need to get a new set of tires, even though this particular stint was not a very long one.
I think, yeah, everyone's starting to realize with the 9 miles an hour that you gain from the extra set of tires. I think everyone's taking that, apart from Christensen. So he dropped off at the start of the last restart. Maybe he's deciding to play the card of maybe I don't have the outright pace compared to everyone if I'm running the same pit strategy as them. So I'm going to try something a bit different. But you know what? Chris Rise needs to count his lucky stars. He drove straight through that car and came out with absolutely no damage. I mean, we saw that the front nose cone was hanging off and his wheel was doing a funny, but I think it has completely repaired itself. And Toby Deck almost didn't exist for him, so he's very lucky on that occasion to not pick up damage himself. But yeah, I think that sort of came from we saw on the corner before he took a large chunk out of the inside apron. Whether that caused a little bit of understeer, whether too much air got underneath that car and sort of washed him up to the outside wall, and then, as you say, Gary, getting stuck on that safer barrier, spitting him then to the inside, and there's no real runoff on the inside. And unfortunately finds the wall rather quickly and dismembers a very nice Dallara IR18.
Yeah, you mentioned again being too fast for the circuit. It was during the 99 race. It ended early after an incident in turn 4 on lap 62 between Stan Waddles, John Paul Jr. and Scott Harrington, and sent a wheel assembly from Waddles' car into the stands. And unfortunately, it fatally killed a fan that was watching the race. The race was stopped at lap 79 with Greg Ray. He was the leader. The race was not considered official because it was stopped short of the minimum race distance and considered a complete race, and therefore it's been scratched from the record books. But you can still find information on the race. It's readily out there. But because of this incident and a similar one the year before at the CART US 500, they implemented wheel tethers. And they were added to as a safety feature to IndyCar. So wheel tethers help prevent the wheels under, I guess, normal wrecking circumstances from being ejected into the stands. They don't necessarily prevent it. See the 2003 Indy 500 incident with Rosenquist and Kirkwood. But because of some incidents that happened here with some pretty tragic results, it has improved IndyCar safety a little bit more and fan safety a little bit more as we're getting ready to go green flag with Christensen with very used tires is going to bring the field up to speed. Right behind him is Heisman, who's not on the lead lap. And then we're going to have Lal, O'Sullivan, Eftik, and Altena all on freshies. They're going to be coming very forward very quickly, and we're going to see how quickly they can get up to the leader as Christensen is going to go into turn 1. I think he could probably hold him off on the bottom, but eventually I think these new tires, as much as he's going to hold the bottom, is going to allow these guys to try to pass him on the high side. But he's not even going to go low. He's going to allow Lal to get to the low side. And he's going to bring Heisman with him as Christensen says hi, who's unfortunately giving a little dirty air to O'Sullivan coming off the corner, but put Lal back to the lead.
Yeah, O'Sullivan's not going to be happy with this one. I reckon there's going to be some words being exchanged after this one saying, why are you letting one teammate through and not letting the other one through?
Wow.
As John Christensen is going to look at the inside. Is he going to go for the lead? I think he's going to give it a go.
Contact between Heisman and Eftik. Eftik into the wall, and that is damage. He's trying to hold it up there, not to collect another car, but that is going to be race done for the guy who started on the pole.
Oh, no. What a poor run for Roden Efting. There was nowhere he could go. I saw it happen in real time. There was literally, with a circuit this narrow, when something like that happens, a little bit of contact and a car's doing north of 170 miles an hour in a corner, he's got a black flag for mechanical damage, so he's going to have to bring that in.
Yeah, Chris Rice got a black flag. I'm not sure what he got it from. Okay, I saw him coming to pit road. There goes O'Sullivan. There goes O'Sullivan around Lal and back to the lead. Christensen in 44 Nation has faded back to fourth, but Heisman's back there. And so now, JJ, I'm Luis Nunez. I probably saw what happened earlier with Heisman. I gotta be a little worried. Whoa, 3 wide coming off the corner a little bit further back. That was Pim Van Gastel, 3 wide coming down the backstretch, along with Sissik and Dory, I believe. They got it all settled out. But JJ, back to what I was saying before about Luis Nunez, he just saw Heisman kind of hip check. And I guess he didn't really mean to do it, but one of the leaders, you gotta kind of feather foot and walk on eggshells lightly around a driver that just kind of happened to do that, and not too many laps ago. You got to kind of wonder if his focus is fully forward right now.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, stuff like that's always going to happen when you're on a circuit that's almost like, the Monte Carlo, or circuits like that that are super, super, super narrow for the speeds that they're doing. And all you need to do is just move your wheels slightly one way or slightly the other way. And before you know it, you've moved 5 meters left, you've moved 5 meters right, or your worst case scenario for, unfortunately, their road Nesting finding himself in the wall and with damage and a meatball flag. But just some news on some other retirees from this race. Toby Deek has said to us that unfortunately he loaded the wrong setup on his car. So I would imagine that could have been why we saw that rather dramatic incident from him. Hopefully he learns from this one and doesn't do it again in the future, because I'm sure we've all done it before, but never the ideal thing to do.
So you mentioned 5 meters. So 5 meters is roughly about 15 feet, 16 feet when we do the conversion. These cars at peak speed are doing a football field a minute. That's in yards now, but a football field a second, excuse me. So imagine how much of a blink of an eye it is just if your car moves 5 meters, but you're doing a football field a second.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I mean, it's, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Ronan Eftink was a complete passenger in that. He was on the higher line. We will get a replay and we'll go through it properly at some point. But, when you're in that situation, it's a little bit like NASCAR at Talladega or NASCAR at Daytona when you come into the checked flag and you're boxed in on the high line. You can't lift because you're going to cause an accident. Here's the replay. So Eftink takes to the outside line, and there you just see a tiny bit of contact.
I see what happened. If we go back and run it back and look from Heisman's point of view, or even in this shot, I think with those older tires from Christensen, he had to lift a little bit going into the corner. He wasn't as fast, and all of a sudden the closing rates of these cars are so extreme that Heisman saw that Christensen was coming up on him, and he had to take evasive action, and unfortunately that caused a car on his outside, which was Eftink, that didn't know that was going to happen. He all of a sudden shows up on the scene, and that's where the contact happens.
Yeah, it's just so unfortunate. I mean, nothing against Heisman. He did the right thing, trying to avoid Christensen. But in the event of trying to save his own car, he sort of gave a little bit of an unexpected hip and shoulder to Ronan Eftink, which caused that inevitable contact. But I mean, there was always going to be some sort of drama when you've got 5 cars around you with brand new Firestones strapped onto their car, and yours are the best part of 30 laps old at this point in time. There's always going to be a peak difference in performance, and you're always going to have to give a little bit more room and take it a little bit more careful when you're that car that's got the older tires on, because you just it's not a talent thing, it's not a skill thing. You just simply don't have the capabilities. The car doesn't generate the grip.
You can't act fast enough. Yeah, you can't act fast enough. Here's Pim Van Gas a little bit further on back, getting a shot on Christensen with he has 35 or 36 lap old tires now. He should be coming to pit road sometime in the next 10 laps, but move Pim up to P5. Pim having a good week. He was doing pretty good at one point there at the VOR race at the VOR IndyCar Championship at Fontana on Saturday, and he's having another race where he's worked his way up into the top 5 here at Charlotte, JJ, and he's just very quietly working his way back up into the top 5. Started up there, has only made up 2 spots, but normally we see him fade and he doesn't come back, but the last couple of races, good strategy has kept him up front.
Yeah, maybe it's just a new way of racing that he's decided to adopt, as we see. Who's this gone through the grass again?
Gardner.
That was Gardner. I think I saw that just on the
wide.
distance.
Run the rejoin.
I think that was another apron victim, if I could not be mistaken. But yeah, like you say with Pim Van Gastel, I've just seen Eli Sasek tag the wall on the exit of turn 4. That's not ideal, but hopefully he's approaching these races with a new mentality of trying to play the long game and trying to get to the end. And someone else who I think is worth watching, the director pointed out to me in the DMs, is Patrick Silvassi. He's been very good over the last long run that we had, well, the long-ish run, the full stint run that we had at the start of this race. He was very competitive towards the end, and he might not have the legs on everyone at the start, but the end of a stint is just as important as the start of a stint.
Yeah, that was Gardner grabbing a little bit of the apron on the double dog legs up front. What a battle here between Julien as he battles back on the high side. Something you don't see here very often. Julien just keeps his foot in it. And we are 20 laps into a run. Each one of these guys on equal tires, so it's not like Julien has better tires than Nunez. It might just be that Julien might have a slightly better setup that works on the high side. He keeps his foot in it and keeps the position. But a battle between 4 IndyCar Championship champions right here, coming off the corner down the double dog legs. You don't see much of a better show with going through the lineup right now. They go side by side, almost touch wheels on the one.
This has the recipe for the greatest battle of titans. We saw a hip check into the first corner. They go, nah, I'm not giving you any room. Well, I'm not going to give you any room. As we go side by side once again into turn 3. Luis Nunez on the
high side again.
Track, but this high side again working so well for that blue Altena Autosport car. But he's going to have to travel the distance. Here comes Luis Nunez. I think they're going to stay like this for quite a while, you know, Gary. I don't think either of them have quite the legs on one another, but it looks like Nunez has got the better run through turns 1 and 2 this time, but he hasn't got the momentum onto the back straight. Julien should be able to clear him. No, he doesn't. So we're going side by side for another half a lap here. They're going to
clears him.
There we go. And so now he clears him. Nunez is going to have to very mindfully watch that apron on the inside. He took quite the chunk out of it, to be honest with you. I'm surprised we didn't see him fly across the grass, but he's going to have to sit back and rethink this one, because so far Julien has had an answer for everything that he's been thrown.
Like the old 80s movies, Clash of the Titans. I know they remade it for the 2000s, but the 80s one is much better. Anyways, Julien and Luis Nunez, Clash of the Titans. Former 2-time Velocity Online Racing IndyCar champion Julien Altena, former champion from a couple seasons ago, Luis Nunez from Fiercely Forward, and oh gosh, almost on the exit. Nunez had to keep it low because Julien is keeping the car on the high side. We're continuing this battle for yet another lap through 3 and 4.
They have to be careful not doing this for too long, because they might start losing out to O'Sullivan and Aman Lau, who you can see at the top of your picture there, sort of starting to clear off a little bit. The gap's sort of been consistent-ish, but losing sort of a 10th in the last half a lap. My word, Luis Nunez, watch the wall, please, sunshine. We're going to go back to the inside. We're going to ride on board. It's a shame that the temperatures don't work on these Dallara steering wheels from our point of view anyway. The drivers have access to all the temperatures and tyre temps that they can see on the steering wheel. That's what that sort of grey box in the bottom right is. But if we could see that, I'd love to see the temperature of Nunez's tyres after going side by side for the best part of 5 minutes with one of his biggest rivals in the championship, and no doubt one of his biggest rivals for the rest of this championship as well.
They really haven't lost much to the leaders. They're only just now hitting 2 seconds behind, so they didn't lose an awful lot. And the key thing is, if I look at gaps, they're still within 1.5 seconds of Lal, so that means that Julien can use Lal's slipstream to pull themselves back up into that battle. And Lal's only 7/10 behind O'Sullivan, so that battle side by side really didn't cost them an awful lot of time. It just got our heart rates going an awful lot.
Yeah, it's going to need to give the heart rate counter a little bit of a rest as we look at, I believe that's Aman Lau now on our screens, and sort of looking at sort of the more laid back areas of the racetrack at the moment. I mean, by far this has exceeded any expectation that I've had of the amount of action that we would have during this race. And, he's sort of 9/10 behind O'Sullivan. He needs to be careful just managing the draft, but I'm sure that there's a reason why he's hovering 9/10 behind. He's most likely to try and protect his Firestones for as long as possible. Should come out or something like that. But still, Nunez in 4th place behind Julien Altena, not being able to find a way past. And it almost looks like he's sort of given up. And, I wouldn't say given up. No racing driver gives up. I reckon he's just sitting back and trying to make it work for.
Sorry, I got moved my attention back to Christensen, because I just noticed he is now 50 laps into his stint, and he did a near tank slapper coming off of 4 the last time, and he had to grab it. I suspect that his tires are well spent now. The interesting thing on Christensen, though, is that he restarted this stint as your leader, but he's only fallen to 6th and has maintained his spot pretty comfortably inside the top 10. he should come to pit road as that car is still wiggling through the double dog legs. That thing is pretty vicious right now. I would imagine he wants to come to pit road, but he's 50 laps into the stint, so he's looking at this stop and one more after that, and he's done. I don't know if this is going to help him, but he's trying to go as deep as possible into the stint, and he's made it 50 laps in.
He needs to be, this on paper, Gary, this could be an incredible strategy from John Christensen. The only fault that lies within the crack in his armour, the chink in his armour at the moment, is getting an unlucky safety car, because we saw that earlier on in the race with the likes of Dan Huysman. He pitted, came out, was a lap down or 2 laps down, because that's what happens with a short oval like Charlotte. But the safety car came out during the middle of the sort of cycle and rejigging and that kind of area of the pit stop cycle, and he just got his race completely ruined. You know, by no fault of his own, no one did it for him. It was just simply a luck thing as we look on board with Christensen, and this is going to be the moment, I believe.
And we'll see if he decides to come to pit road. I'm not sure when we expect to see everybody else. For that matter, everyone else is pretty much 34 laps into their stint. So if that's the case, I suspect that we'll see everybody else on pit road. Everyone else come to pit road in about 10 laps. But I would imagine Christensen anytime. And it's not like Christensen is off the pace. His last lap was 210.7. Pim Van Gassel did a 210. Altena did a 212. Lal did a 211. O'Sullivan fastest to 213. So he's not that far off the pace, and with very well worn and used tires at this point, the best thing he has for his car is right now very light on fuel, as he's going to do another lap. But we're watching a battle between Christian Ortiz. What happened with him?
Went side by side. So Eli Sasek wanted to look to the high side into turn 1 and sort of got squeezed a little bit, and then Christian Ortiz sort of went down to the inside line, got a little bit caught up on the apron, as we see here, and then this rejoin is so. He actually touched Sasek. I saw the 2 black lines left out the back of the car, but my word, that could have been a monumental accident.
And he's still having problems right now. He is down on the apron off of turn 2. He is down underneath the blue line. He is trying to bring that car to pit road, but another evil handling car in this open setup race, as he's coming down now to the apron of turns 3 and 4. Christensen just pitted. He went 56 laps on this stint.
That is really, really impressive, considering everyone else is doing the best part of, 38, 40 laps, just over 40 laps, to then go and do a massive mammoth 57 lap stint. I think that's good to put him in a really good position come the closing stages of this race. But I really wonder if these cars are sort of getting strange sorts of damage from these safer barriers on the outside of the circuit, because we've seen so many cars have moments and then continue to be really, really unstable throughout the rest of their stint. Pit road.
See Silvazzi break off from the pack, and he comes down the pit road now as he's trying to keep the car fighting it from going back up over the blue line. As he comes to the cones and gets down to the 45-mile-per-hour speed limit. He went 38 laps on that stint. So just to tell you the difference between what Christensen did and what he did, 20 laps difference coming to pit road, and that I think was all entirely under green. It could be Silvazzi's drew a little bit of a shortstop and maybe trying to do a bit of an undercut, which is something you can do here at Charlotte, as he's down and away in 8 seconds in the box.
Yeah, I think it's an experience knows all kind of thing from John Christensen. There's a couple of guys trying to do the undercut, as you say, but John Christensen with the experience and the knowledge that he has, being around especially the Altena Autosport team for a fair few seasons now, I think he's got the knowledge underneath him to try and make whatever strategy he needs to work. And it's a good mentality to have that he's got at the moment. He's gone into the race and he might not have the pace over everyone else, or he might have accepted that very early on. So he thinks, okay, well, how else can I win this race? How else can I put my car as far up the order as possible come the final pit stops, come with like 10 to go, 5 to go? How can I give myself a chance at getting into that sort of top
Steinecker
5
has
position.
a meatball flag. Sorry, but something happened to Steinecker. Not sure what happened there.
God.
Meatball flag. Does he? Oh, he has a go of his onboard, and look at his right front tire. That is spent. He might have blown his tire. Watch this car when it comes into the pits and comes to a stop, and look how torn up this tire is. Look, oh, that is a you can see the cords. Caution!
Oh, we had a big spin. It looks like Fiolus's meatballed, but we'll have a look at a replay here. So this is, where is this? I want to say this is off of turn 4. There's the pit entry on the left. Through the dogleg. Does he catch some of the apron? No. Maybe he blew it. Oh, so it's not him. I think there was someone that...
Wow, big loose for Nunez coming off the corner.
Oh my God.
Whoa, and that's out to the inside wall, and that is day done for our points leader.
Oh no, you see, I saw him do that about 25 laps ago, Gary. I said, you know, when he was following and battling with Altena, I said, he needs to watch that inside line, and he gets a bit loose, takes a massive munch of the inside, and then it's not till he actually gets halfway back up the racetrack where he starts to lose the car, and then as soon as it sort of has that pendulum effect, it starts swinging him towards that inside wall, and that is a monumental impact for Luis Nunez.
And he didn't even hit the wall. He just had oversteer on the exit of the corner and then fought it through the entire front stretch until he just ran out of real estate. And there's why Fiolis got the meatball flag, is that his right front is blown. And what this caution did is it saved him. He's going to be able to come to pit road under normal service and get that taken care of. I do want to point out, when Christensen came to pit road, he was in the box 9.4 seconds. When Silvazzi came to pit road, he was in the box for only 8 seconds. So that 1.5 second difference is more fuel being added to Christensen's car than what was added to Silvazzi. So I think Silvazzi was hoping for an undercut, but unfortunately this caution, I think, is going to trap him down some. And again, the gamble of the undercut, which we saw happen in the first stint, does not pay off again here because of how these cars become so evil after lap 25 or so.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting you point that out as all the rest of the pit stop times are sort of coming in at the moment. We've got Eli Sasek on 14 seconds, so he must have picked up some damage from that hairy moment that we saw about 5 minutes ago, maybe a little bit longer ago. But the average pit stops that are coming in at the moment is we've got some people in the mid 8 seconds, some people, we've got Steinecker with the quickest time of 7.9, but I'll round that up to 8 because it's 7.983. And we've got, there's actually, looking at the timing screens away from the pit stop times, the amount of cars that are lapped, well, caught a lap down, so to speak. John Christensen in 7th is the last car on that lead lap. So the likes of Anthony Hitisma, Brian Fiolis, Eli Sasek, Nigel Stock, Nicholas Charpentier, Jamie Dory, Patrick Silvasti, Christian Ortiz, and Henk-Jan Steinecker all trapped a lap down in this.
But Christensen will get back on the lead lap. He's in that wave around group, so he's getting back on the lead lap. And I think for him staying out on that gamble, that last pit stop, I think it's saving him on this particular instance. Silvazzi trying to do the undercut is what cost him this time, and unfortunately, he is now trapped a lap down. But you're right, the top 7 are the only ones on the lead lap. That's O'Sullivan, Law, Altena, Pim Van Gastel, Vogelzang, Gardner, and Christensen. So all of the Altena Autosports cars, with the exception of Roden Neftink, who was taken out in a turn 2 incident that did not bring out a caution, he is out of the race. All the Altena Autosports cars are living to see at least in contention to get a win for this race by staying on the lead lap, as we are at 100 to go here at Charlotte.
Yeah, I love the way you didn't hesitate, but you didn't want to jinx anything, and I think that's a very good summary of this race so far. You know, they live to see another day for now, because this it turns out that this race has been quite the attrition race, and more so than I think either of us expected. We've seen a lot of cars with handling issues. A lot of cars getting a bit too loose. You know, you need to perfect your line through the 2 dog legs on the front straight, so you don't end up getting a little bit of tank slapping action. And also with the front tires, as Liam O'Sullivan from Aman Lau leads us to green, and O'Sullivan will floor it, and Milan Vogelsang will get an incredible start and jump 1, maybe 2 places as we head into turn number 1 for the restart, up into 5th place. He is now back up 1 position from where he started, and he's not finished yet as he's got Pim van Gastel in his sights. He's going to go to the inside. Pim doesn't think too much of it, stays high, and I believe that Vogelsang will take the place, although he's got 3 cars right in front of him, so he will get a little bit of dirty air, but it won't affect him too much, considering this is lap 2 now of this stint, and everyone around him, including himself, will have fresh tyres, and hopefully we'll see a bit more action up at the front compared to the last restart that we had. Liam O'Sullivan still leads the way from Aman Lau, Altena, Vogelsang, Gastel, and Gardner, your top 6. And you know what? I'm a little bit disappointed to see that Silvazzi got sort of trapped and lapped down, because he was so strong over those longer runs, and I really wanted to see how he could play this out and sort of come into contention by the end of this race. But getting really close now, Vogelsang almost touching the back of Julien Altena into turn number 3. He's going to sort of keep his boots clean for now, so to say, and I think we were potentially looking at another sort of Alt F4 moment, like we had with Roland Efting there.
Car contact coming in right at the second dog leg, going into turn 1. Inside, Fiola's involved. Caution.
Oh my god. That is a huge accident. The AMR safety team would be well on their way to his car.
Oh, and there was another car that was in the grass, and I think everyone might have been seeing that, and that might have been part of the distraction. We got Stenekers and Henkiang Steneker involved in there. Stock is involved, and there was a 4th car coming through the grass. I'm not sure who it was. Gardner, I think.
Yeah, we'll have a look at the replay, but I think that was one car going too low and trying to give everyone a little bit of room. My word, that was close.
No, I think it was Sharp. Who was that? That was Dory. I think that was Dory going through the grass there.
So he's going to grab... Yeah, so he grabs the apron, goes through the grass, and what's going to happen... Yeah, so we're giving him a little bit too much room, forgetting that there's a car on our outside. And then, unfortunately, we're sort of merging 2 Dallara IR18s together. So this is stock on board. So we're going to see Jamie Dory go to the inside. There he goes. And we're going to give him way too much room. And we're up into Fiolas. Fiolas gets loose. We go into the inside wall and bang. Whoa.
And interesting enough, and we didn't call it out during the racing on the track, but Hatsuma was that was that orange, that yellow, that white and black car that was with the leaders. Started 1 lap down. He was the buffer between O'Sullivan and Lal. Got up front of O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan really didn't battle him because O'Sullivan didn't need to. We're watching the after effects of that caution going into turn 1. So Hatsuma got in front of O'Sullivan. The caution came out, so he is going to be able to come all the way around and get back on the lead lap. So we're going to get 1 more car on the lead lap, Hatsuma. But I want to shout out Vogelsang, who is in the top 4 in the points right now, and he is in the top 4 on the racetrack. At one point, Vogelsang, early in this race, was stuck around 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, right in that neighborhood. He's up 2 spots right now, but he faded to the back at the start of this race. Once again, showing you it doesn't matter how you start this race. It doesn't matter where you are at kilometer 100, kilometer 200, or kilometer 300. This is a 500-kilometer race. 300, just over 300 miles. So it just matters where you are now. And Vogelsang, which was struggling, looked like he was struggling earlier, might have just been on a pace of his own. He has now managed to stay on the lead lap. And sometimes half the battle, back to the old G.I. Joe cartoons of the 80s, knowing is half the battle. Well, half the battle for these IndyCar races is staying on the lead lap. And so if you stay on the lead lap, you put yourself in contention and you keep yourself in contention. And that's exactly where Vogelzang, Pim van Gastel, Gardner, Christensen, and Hatsuma are. They are normally not in contention for a lot of these races, but now they're putting themselves in contention as we are now 95 to go, coming to 94 to go. They are on the lead lap, where the lead lap number is getting very, very short. So it allows them some other opportunities that maybe they want to make an extra pit stop or someplace under one of these cautions to throw on an extra set of tires and maybe take a run at it and send it. Because let's say Hatsuma comes to pit road and wants to do that, he's not going to fall down any order in the lineup under this caution. He's going to stay at 8, so he has some options back there now getting back on this lead lap that he doesn't necessarily have to stay out if we have another quick caution, or he could come in and throw on another quick set of tires because he's not going to lose any position. So it opens up the option book for him a little bit.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because he's sort of the last car on that lead lap. As you say, it opens up a lot of strategy for him, but I don't think he is going to take that opportunity, as I believe this is now coming to the green flag. So
yeah, this
the
time
pit
he's
lane
locked
will
in.
be closed. Yeah, so he's unfortunately locked in this time. If we get another restart caution, you know what they say in oval racing, cautions breed cautions, so you never know. We might be in this position in about 20 seconds time. But yeah, that's always definitely something that he needs to keep in the back of his mind. And I hope he does know that he is probably the most strategically open person in that lead lap group at the moment.
Hatsuma up 13 positions. P8 restart now under the command of Liam O'Sullivan. Law in second, Altena in third. Altena Auto Sports Cars bracketing the podium right now. Then we got Vogelzang, Pim van Gastel, and Gardner. The next three are going to try to battle this out. Restart, green flag underway here. 93 to go as we go side by side. 2 by 2 by 2 at the front, the middle, and the back.
Julien almost it looks like he got completely caught napping there as Vogelzang took full advantage. An amazing restart from him, jumps him straight up into third place. And Julien's going to come back at him on the outside line, but I don't know if he will regain the position. I think he does.
He does. Big run.
His Altena Autosport teammate moves down to give him the clear air, and he now retakes third place. So Vogelzang will need to think about how he's going to tackle this, because he's in the position that Luis Nunez found himself in at the first stint of this race. He sort of surrounded himself with the top 5 cars, which is what, of course, you want to be doing, considering it's a competitive race. But what he also needs to be careful of is all of those cars are part of the same team. So he could very easily become public enemy number 1 as Julien now goes to the lead around the outside. He's going to hold the line. Liam O'Sullivan gives him the room on the inside. Aman Lau is going to go up behind Julien, thinks better of it, and sort of sits 50-50. So that's going to be a little bit confusing for Vogelzang, who commits to the high line. Yeah, it's like Noah's Ark. We're 2 by 2 by 2, the top 6, as we come to start lap number... Gosh, I don't even know what lap this is now.
91 to go, now 90 to go, as we have Altena Autosports 1 and 2 and 3, and then we got Vogelzang. We're going to go 3 wide off the corner. Vogelzang in the middle, Law down low, Julien up high.
Oh, he looks very nervous into turn 3. I think I saw a rather big twitch from Vogelzang.
Now, this is what he hears in his ear. 3 wide, you're in the middle. And you're like, oh my God, what do I do?
Yeah, it's going to get to a point, though, where he sort of needs to start making those moves. And I reckon that was sort of a little bit of a rehearsal for what he might need to do later in the race as he sort of gears himself up to try and get a good finish. As I believe, I want to say that's not Van Gastel. I want to say that's Gardner that's also getting himself in the mix with Christensen and actually is going to take the place off of him. So we've got now 2 non-Altena Autosport cars in the top 5, which will be a sigh of relief for Vogelzang.
Well, actually, Christensen is in the top 5, but we got 5 cars. And then Christensen, with those older tires, now he's starting to fade back. But again, he has options, being that he's further on back. He's not going to lose a lap. He can pace himself. Also, his tires are about 9 laps older than everyone else at the moment. But that car that was in front of him is Sissik up there, and Silvazzi's now in front of him. And then we get to Vogelzang. Then we get to Julien, who was battling for the lead not too long ago. Law now to the lead. O'Sullivan now goes to second.
It's going to be interesting to see how the lead of this plays out. John Christensen, please watch yourself. That was an incredible save, though. Lightning fast hands from Mr. John Christensen to save what would have been, no doubt, a huge accident.
Yeah, if I was Christensen, get back in line. I would fade back to Pim and Hatsuma because it's looking like, and I think Gardner is now on the lead lap too in 8th. But Christensen, Castile, Hatsuma, and Gardner, I think, are got a pace of their own right now that they're willing to run. And if it keeps up at the front with Vogelzang pushing the envelope a little bit, and then we got another car up there. It's Sissek trying to get a lap back that wants to be aggressive. Julien is trying to make the high side work, and then we got O'Sullivan and Law. Anything can happen up there. Those guys that decided to fade to the back a little bit, put all the action in front of them, might be able to inherit some positions just by some of these drivers up front making some mistakes that cost them a race.
Yeah, I think I'm agreeing with you here because Vogelzang has sort of sat back and sort of joined the likes of Christensen and Pim van Gastel and sort of left Patrick Silvassi and Jamie Dory, who are the 2 cars in front of him. So that's the white side pods and red nose and then the all pink car. They're not actually fighting for position. So those guys are a lap down with Eli Sasek, who's in the sort of white car in front of him in turn. So the top 3...
They actually are battling for... Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you. They are battling for position. That's 9th, 10th, and 11th. So they're going to battle each other, but they're not battling for the lead. So you're right, what you're saying there. It really, Vogelzang doesn't have to worry about them because he just needs to keep them in front of them, avoid anything they have. He's not going to lose a position if they pass him or he passes them and they pass him back, whatever. But go to your point anyways. I see where you're going.
No, 100%. No, I probably should have cleared that up. So those 3 guys there, they're fighting amongst themselves. But if we're looking at it from Vogelzang's point of view, as he's now side by side with John Christensen further back in the picture, I think their sort of strategy here is to sort of let the lapped guys go and try and get their lap back because I don't think it would really affect their race too much. They just want the front row seat and they want to watch the popcorn and the chaos unfold in front as there looks to be some chaos brewing as Aman Lau sort of weaving across the circuit on the back straight to try and keep the lead from Liam O'Sullivan.
Silvassi about had a meeting of the minds with the turn 2 wall last time by, as he's going to have. There's not Gardner. That is Dory underneath. And again, we got very similar looking cars out there, and I get them confused. I think Dory and Gardner are teammates. They got very similar liveries, but it looks like Silvassi gets the position back on Dory as Sissek gets a little loose coming off the corner and shoots to the inside, but catches it.
Yeah, these cars look rather difficult to drive. I'm not sure about you, but I don't know if I'd want to be driving one of these cars around here for this period of time, just because of the focus that it seems to take out of you. I mean, what a save from Eli Sasek as we look at the replay, but it seems to be taking a lot out of him as he's touching the wall on the outside again. He's got Silvassi behind him, sort of giving him the hurry up almost, as the top 3 are sort of getting away a little bit. Altena's dropped off the lead. See what his plan is with that, but it almost seems like Sasek's holding up this sort of mixture of lapped cars fighting for position and, of course, cars on the lead lap, as John Christensen is now past Vogelzang again, so he's now up into 4th place, and it's going to be now his job to try and figure out what to do with these lap cars in front of him.
Lal looking for his 2nd Global IndyCar Challenge victory. Got one a season ago. Liam O'Sullivan, hard to believe he doesn't have a win here, but he could win anytime he's on the racetrack. He's a former winner in the old Iconic Series as well as in the IndyCar Championship over in the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship. So we know he's a proven asset. And then right behind him in 3rd spot, Julien. Only 1 win last season. But it was enough to give him the series inaugural season championship in the GIC. And he would like his 2nd win. But everybody up front looking for their 1st win this season. And for a couple of these drivers, their 2nd win in the series.
Yeah, it's a big day for these guys at the front. A lot of them, as you say, fighting for their 1st win. So the pressure's going to be equally spread out, I reckon. There's not going to be someone that's done it before, so they don't have the pressure of, oh my God, you know, I don't really need to need to prove too much. And obviously, when you're under pressure, some people perform a lot better than others. But because none of these guys are in that position where they're going for, double, triple wins in this series, I think the pressure's a little bit more evenly spread. And I know that a lot of these guys are going to be gunning for the championship as well. So, unfortunately for the likes of Rodan Eftink and Luis Nunez, this is going to be a big, big hit for their championship hopes. And, if you're one of those cars at the front, do you start thinking, well, two of the main guys that we need to be worried about are not going to be scoring too many points in this race, if any? Do we just sort of not really give it 110% and just make sure we bank the points now?
That is definitely take that into consideration. If you're already on the lead lap like Hatsuma and Gardner and Pim are, if you don't think the pace is there in your open setup, you're guaranteed a top 10 right now if you just keep it on the lead lap and bring the car home. That might be what they want to consider. But I'm thinking a little bit further ahead now. 30 laps into this current stint. Last time, and we had a caution that brought everyone kind of in early, but Liam O'Sullivan did 46 on his last stint. So we're looking at another 16 laps. But let's say they even are able to go 20 laps from now. They would be in the area of 50 to go. And I'm not quite sure without caution they can do 50 laps on a run. We saw Christensen do it, but he did it with caution. I don't know if they can do it with green flag. And again, the more we thin this field out, there's less opportunity for cars to come together and cause a caution. We could, of course, get the singles car caution type of cautions, but we've seen those happen here before with the cars getting loose, but they don't happen as frequent as the multi-car incidents, of course. But I'm thinking these guys might have to come up with a strategy where they might have to do a little bit of a stop towards the end, maybe with 20 to go, 10 to go, and add fuel to bring it home to make it on the 2 more stops. But I don't think another stop is going to get everybody home yet. I could be wrong. There could be someone out there trying to pull a miracle, but the math in my mind, at least the way they behave this race, says that it's just not going to work out. It's not going to add up. So we'll see as we are now coming to 68 to go, and they are 34 laps into this stint, the leaders are. With the exception of Christensen, by the way. He's at 43, so his next stop might be his last one, actually. We'll see if he can get a little... No, it's not. Sorry, I can't even say that about Christensen. Christensen definitely is probably going to have to get another stop at the end. So I think everybody still has another stop to go after their next stop coming up.
Yeah, I think that's definitely what's going to need to happen. I don't think anyone's going to be able to make this to the end with the current scenario that's going on. But I mean, we're expecting John Christensen into the pits sort of in the near future. I'd probably say in the next 5 to 7 laps I'll expect him to come down pit road. But what that will do is when everyone else needs the bigger splash towards the end, there's a chance that he might actually need a little bit of a smaller one. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays into his hands. I mean, God forbid for his sake that we, as soon as he pits and a caution comes out, that would literally eradicate any hope that he would have of a good result this late into the race. And we've seen that happen with quite a few cars actually in this race. But I think at the moment it seems to be that the story of this race so far is you sort of need to follow the crowd a little bit. Otherwise, if you stray too far from the pack, as the saying goes, you find yourself lost and potentially going against the flow of the race, and you might end up not really benefiting yourself any much more than if you just followed everyone else, so to say.
So we do have tire limits, by the way, and the steward's listening, and I'll ask here. It's 6 sets or 7 sets, 1 in the car and then 6 in the pits, or 1 in the car and 5 in the pits. 5, and so it's okay. So it's 5 in the pits. Interesting. We've had 4. Like Liam O'Sullivan has 4 stops. He's changed tires, I think, on every single stop. So he has 1 more set. I think he has 1 more set of tires. I think the last pit stop front of these guys, they might be on very worn and well-used tires. I don't know if they'll have another set in the pits after this. So tire limits are going to be of an issue here, unless somebody has an extra set in there that we don't know about.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see whether drivers have actually taken sort of left sides or right. Well, you wouldn't take left sides considering we're only turning left.
Well, you could. I mean, stock cars do that. You never see e-cars do that, and well, stock cars do it because it saves them time. At least in the old stock cars, because they had 5 lug nuts, and it's in a manual jack, so you need someone to come out there and actually pump the car up. Here in IndyCar, it's a single lug. Impact lug on the middle of the rim for these guys, and then you stick a hose in the car and it jacks it up. So you could do left or right sides only on an IndyCar. I can't recall. The last time I remember of a different tire strategy someone might have done as they might have just changed rears only, like on a road course, and kept the fronts on. But very rarely in IndyCar racing do you see right side only or left side only. It's normally to just go for all 4.
Yeah, so then that means that the whole strategy and tire situation could become quite a headache for the majority of the field if they've taken tires at every single stop, which I'm fairly confident 90% of the field would have done, considering
Hatsuma might have an extra set. Hatsuma might have an extra set. I show him at 19, hitting pit stops, going 19, then coming back in for a splash after that, but I'm sure not changing tires, then going 44, then going 8, coming back to the pits again, and then at 36, I'm thinking he might have an extra set if he, let's see, he put a new set on, so he went 45 on a set, and then they went 8, maybe came in and just did a splash, and he's at 36. He might have an extra set. I don't know. We don't know that. We can't see that in the sim. Only they would know, but it's possible. But I'm just checking the number of laps he did in his stints. He has 5 stints where he came to pit road, 19, 1, 44, 8, and 37. So he might have an extra set where he just came in when that 8-lap stint, he just might have came in for a splash.
Okay, so if we're going off of, well, I mean, we're never going to know for sure, but if we go off that knowledge, he could instantly become not one of the, well, I wouldn't say a favourite to win because we don't know if he's got the tyres, but if he has the tyres, that's definitely quite the boost that he will need, considering the, what is it, 9 or 10 miles an hour average difference between tyres that are, going on 30 laps old compared to brand new Firestones.
But it also says he has 6 total stops, so I'm only seeing 5 in my overlay. So he might be on his last set as well. So it's tough to tell. We're just doing a best guess here. 56 to go. And up front is still Liam O'Sullivan, Alman Lal, Julien Altena, Christensen. So Altena Autosports having a pretty good day. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and Vogelzang is best in class right now, is where he was at the start of this race. He is currently in the 5th spot.
Yeah, I was just watching Jamie Dory, who's a lap down, but the car behind him on circuit, and watching a car following, close like we've seen all throughout this race. They're starting to really struggle, and they're all sort of going on the best part of 40 plus laps on this set of tyres. The top 3 are on 48 laps, so O'Sullivan, Lal and Altena all on 48 laps. John Christensen on a mammoth 57. I don't know if that's quite correct, but I think it is.
He's coming to pit road now.
Oh yeah, so that would have been correct. So another mammoth 57 lap stint.
Well,
for
if
Mr.
he could
John
do
Christensen.
57, but I think there was caution involved in that one as well, as he brings it down to the 45 mile per hour pit road speed limit at those cones. He's at 53. This, with a massive save, this could be it for him. I don't know if he could do a massive save if we stay all green, but he's coming in for pit road. Might be his last stop.
Vogelzang and Jamie Dory, contact on the back
Dory's
straight.
got a black flag, and you said Vogelzang. Vogelzang is missing a right front wing plane.
Yeah, so we've got Vogelzang, who's the more blue of the 2 cars, and Jamie Dory, who's on the outside and sort of
he just cuts across him. And here comes Vogelzang. He now knows he needs to come to pit road sooner rather than later, maybe a little bit earlier than he wants. He's 50 laps into his stint, so is about time anyways, but he's going to have a 5-second penalty. That's the time assessment that they think it would take to change the front wing in a real race. So he's going to have to get that changed on pit road. So real IndyCar racing, what he'd be doing is he would notify the pit road, I need a new front wing. They have a front wing ready to go on the pit box. So as soon as he comes to pit road, he'll go up on the jacks. The front tire changers will actually go ahead. They'll get the service done on all the tires because that's done really quick. And then they would go put in the tool to do the quick releases from the front wing, put the new front wing back on, tighten everything back up, and send him on his way. The new front wing might not have the identical settings in real IndyCar racing that the one that they're putting on as. In this particular one, it's going to duplicate the settings, so that's he just knows that at least his car is going to behave the same as he comes out behind Gardner this time. But that is a final, it could be final stop for him as very close to 50 to go.
This is, you're watching the leader of the race, well, the effective net leader of the race coming into the pits. This is O'Sullivan, doesn't miss the pit box. That's job number 1 done. Job number 2 is getting the exit nice and smooth. He drops off the jacks, they say go, 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 and he floors it, and away he goes. So that's his stop done rather. God, I'm getting a little bit tired. Yeah.
Jamie Dory coming off pit road has a black flag. I'm not sure if he sped coming off of pit road or maybe possible incident limits, but he'll have to answer that. But Julien, the longer he can keep going, puts this more into the neighborhood, into the window of final stop for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how long he actually goes for. And I wanted to actually touch on that incident with Jamie Dory and Vogelsang earlier. And, you know, while we were watching the replay on screen, it just looked like Jamie Dory drifted a little bit too high up on the circuit and just tagged the wall in a straight line. But it seemed to sort of send him back left across the circuit, which then obviously caused him to tangle with Vogelsang and end up with him in retirement and Vogelsang needing a new front wing as Julien now comes into pit road. So he goes, what is that? I'd say 3-4 laps longer.
Yeah, and he needed to cut the pit road right away because O'Sullivan was Julien was doing 2 laps of 2:11 and O'Sullivan was doing laps at near 2:20. So there's 9, almost 10 miles per hour difference. He was going to be losing all sorts of time. So come to pit road, and this could be final stop for Julien. It could be final stop for most everyone we just saw in the last 5 laps or so. But certainly should be final stop for Julien, and it should be less fuel, slightly less fuel for Julien as he's at his stop, on up on his jacks for the final time. Down and away, and where does he come out in relation to O'Sullivan? O'Sullivan coming down the front stretch now and is going to nick him going into turn 1.
Yeah, so O'Sullivan and Lau are now on the back straight, so Julien will come out. That's quite a hefty gap. That's almost an entire
that's a straightaway lead.
So, yeah, this is where we've seen the undercut for the first time in this race really take a hold of dominance and really show how strong it is. And, you know, we saw that Julien came out the pits, but, you know, as he crossed the pit exit line, the 2 leaders were already long gone and passing him at the best part of 200 miles an hour. So you're never really going to catch that up as soon as you come out the pits. You're, of course, going to need to build up your own speed. And that sort of meant that the gap at the front, especially between, you know, the top 2 and 3rd place, is the best part of half a straightaway or even a little bit more now.
And Tim Van Gastel, who was our leader, coming to pit road for his final stop, and that turns it over to Hatsema, who is diving down the pit road, and he is on the apron now, making his way around turns 3 and 4 to come to pit road for his final stop. So now Liam O'Sullivan, who is 7 laps into this current stint, can he make it to the end? It's right on the edge. We will see if he can as he's battling out with Amon Law for the lead, and it's going to be between these 2 unless we have a late caution. Knock on wood. Let me find some wood. Okay, I found some wood. So, maybe find some salt, throw it over your shoulder. Oh, blinking out there for O'Sullivan. You don't want that to happen. But hoping no caution here late to bring this field back into one another. But Law and O'Sullivan, if it stays this way, are going to battle it out for the win right here.
Yeah, what I would hate to see happen is O'Sullivan sort of doing the stretch and trying to make it to the end and end up having to be left with no choice but to sit behind the teammate of Aman Lal in front of him and just try and, you know, be in a race against himself in his own fuel tank to try and even make it to the end of the race. I'd love to see some battles on track and both cars with enough fuel to make it to the end with a bit extra to give us a bit of a showdown between these two Altena Autosport drivers fighting for the win. But you never know what's going to happen. You know, we've had cars randomly lose a bit of traction here and there, sort of spontaneously find their way to the inside wall, cause a couple of cautions and, you know, collect other people along the way. So when a field is sort of mixed up a little bit more like this, when you've got the lap down cars sort of mixing it in with the non-lap down cars, aka the cars on the lead lap, or in this case the top 7, you never really know what's gonna happen, and you know, some unluck or luck can happen either way depending on how it plays out for you. So that's very, very close.
Hatsuma's trying to stay on the lead lap. He knows that if there's a late caution, that he's going to be in a position for a better finish if he can stay in the lead lap. But right now, he's the last car on the lead lap in 8th spot, and he's fighting for it. And Law and O'Sullivan know he's fighting for it as well. And there is no rule, no blue flag rule at this point in the race that said Hatsuma has to get out of the way. So he's going to battle for this position, this track position, to stay on the lead lap. Once again, if you just join us, you're watching Velocity Online Racing coverage of round 3 of 6 of Season 2 of the Global IndyCar Challenge Championship, coming to you from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Rahman Lal is currently your leader, but right behind him is Liam O'Sullivan. They are battling for the lead. Right below them is Hatsuma. He's trying to stay on the lead lap. We're going to go 3 wide into 3. This is a very opportunistic pass and opportunity for O'Sullivan, and he takes the shot and comes out as the leader on the other side.
That was a very, very ballsy move, and it played off and played into his favor. Both cars now managed to get past Hatsuma and puts him, unfortunately, a lap down. But Aman Lal is not going to be happy with Hatsuma after that, as that has effectively cost him the lead. But you know what Hatsuma is doing is playing this race more into the hands of Julien Altena, as he's caught I'm going to say the best part of 0.8 to a whole second in the last 2 laps while these guys have been trying to navigate the back markers, and now they're sort of past him. Hatsuma has done the best he can do in terms of helping out Julien Altena. I'm not saying he's doing it on purpose. Of course, he's trying to fight his own race, and he's trying to keep that lap so that he can, you know, stay on the lead lap and not go a lap down and cement his finish of, you know, only being P7 or lower. He's managed to stay with them actually pretty well here. I was expecting these two to sort of drive off a little bit faster than they suspectedly are doing.
Hatsuma has much younger tires, only 7-lap-old tires, and he was in that window, 5 to 6 laps where your tires are much better than everyone else's, and it might have been just a difference, not just because of tires, but maybe a different setup of these 2 leaders that were able to work away and get around them. But Hatsuma now 3rd in line. Hey, make sure to smash that like button. That was a heck of a move, so definitely reward those guys by smashing the like button. Subscribe to the channel so you miss out on the next race. The next race here for the GIC will be Wednesday, January 21st, 2026 from Fuji International Raceway. Our next road course of the season. Coverage starts at 3 p.m. Eastern on the 21st right here on the Velocity Online Racing channel, so don't miss it. 32 to go here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Now 31 to go here at Charlotte, as we are into the, hopefully for most of these drivers, the final stint and the final stanza of this race, as O'Sullivan's your leader, Lal second right behind him, and Julien Altena, you're right, has crept back into the battle, although he's a distance 2.4 seconds behind.
Yeah, he's 2.4 seconds behind now, but I mean, the best part of 10 laps ago, he was looking at a 5-second gap to these leaders. So he needs to be careful not to burn too much fuel if he's sort of on the... I know we said that he was more comfortably within the window, but you never know how much fuel he's taken on board, and you never know, you know, how fine he is going to run this final stint. So hopefully he can catch up and make up for whatever fuel that he's overburning, so if that's what I'm going to call it. And sit behind these guys and give us a nice 3-way fight for the lead, because, you know, 3 cars is always better than 2, am I right?
And let's also worth a shout out, John Christensen in 44 Nation. It's all fours for John Christensen today. He's in 4th spot. So right now, the top 4 positions, all Altena Auto Sports, as it is all coming up AA today. Right now at the top of the pack, but looking up front from Lamont Law's point of view, he is just right in the tire tracks of Liam O'Sullivan. It's possible, it's very possible that Law needs to do some saving here. He is a little bit longer on this stint than O'Sullivan by 1 lap, so he's burnt 1 more lap's worth of fuel, and if he's cutting it short, he might have to stay in this draft and dial it back a little bit just to make it to the end. So 26 now to go here at Charlotte, JJ. It's tough to call really where these guys are on fuel. It's just our best guess. And we know Julien could probably make it, but it's going to be close for O'Sullivan and Law. They would probably like to see a caution here in the closing laps.
Yeah, this is where we need to send a polite reminder to iRacing to give us some fuel numbers, you know, in this sort of spectator commentary position, because this would be such an interesting race to manage, and it would be such an incredible thing to be able to add into our conversations, because at the moment we can speculate. I mean, of course we can say, you know, Lars pitted a lap before, we think that he might need to do a bit more fuel saving, but if we were able to see the numbers, it would give us so much more depth. So iRacing, you know, if you're watching this, you know, I hope this lands on some sort of developer's desk in the next few weeks, and it would be nice to see. But anyway, focusing back on the action that we're watching at the moment, back from O'Sullivan.
O'Sullivan was linking, at least for me, but iRacing, if you're listening, can you give us at least 3 wide restarts or 3 wide starts at Indianapolis if you're going to do something for IndyCar? If you're going to do something for IndyCar, make it meaningful, please. Give me 3 wide starts at Indianapolis. 24 to go. So I guess the best sign that I can use, a barometer, so to speak, of who might be saving fuel and who is on full burn is how fast you're going on the racetrack. Last time by, O'Sullivan 2:14.6, Law did a 2:13.7, Julien did a 2:13.9. Julien has been consistently in the 2:13, 2:14s, whereas O'Sullivan and Law has been more in the 2:11s and 2:12s. So Julien has actually been faster over the long haul, but it also could have been that O'Sullivan and Law were racing each other, and they did have lap traffic. In fact, O'Sullivan has gotten around Gardner there and has since picked it up a little bit. But that's kind of the barometer I'm using with those guys in first and second, a little bit slower. But over the last 2 laps, as I started talking about this now, the guys up front have kind of picked it up, 2:14s versus 2:12 by Julien.
Yeah, maybe we're sort of past the bubble now. Maybe they're sort of got the all okay from their black box or their spotter or whoever's in a you know, helping them out in this race, and you know, you can start to pick up the pace a little bit more now. Or it could have been a move from O'Sullivan to try and get more of a break, more of breathing space. That's what I'm looking for, because you know, he had Lyle sort of sat behind him quite a while, obviously doing a bit of fuel saving, as we didn't see any aggressive moves coming out of that purple VOR car. And since then, as you say, you know, as the back marker came into play, I believe that was who was that? Yes, it was. It could have been a move from O'Sullivan to try and open up the gap a bit and sort of, you know, put Lyle under pressure a little bit more to try and close the gap and keep the draft as strong as it has been in previous laps. And you know, this is a 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to call it, well, it is a 5-car train now, because at the back of this is now Julien Altena. So that's the 3rd place car, that blue car in the background. At the back of this 5-car train, that is the car in 3rd place in the standings. So he's now got to get past the 2 back markers in front of him. And hopefully they don't make it too difficult for him, because we want to see a good race at the end of this. But you never know how hard they're going to fight, because there's no blue flag rules.
And a word from pit road from the Christensen side for 44 Nation. 44 needs a yellow to get to the finish. And he is dialing it back too. But looking behind Christensen, Tim Van Gastel, full burn as he pitted about 12 laps after Christensen. So should be in the window to good to go for Pim. Pim might back himself into a top 5 here, JJ.
Yeah, this is another thing that we noticed last time out at the Velocity Online Racing Series for Pim van Gastel. He's done the same thing here. He's not really made himself too much of a focus point, not got himself into too much trouble. When things were kicking off in the top 5 in front of him, he's sort of, sat back, wanted the front row seat and the popcorn, and it's played into his hands again. And I think this is exactly what he needs for this style of championship. As we've been saying, 6 rounds, no drop rounds, every single result matters. And if you're going to be fighting for first place off the bat and in the first stint and you end up crashing, you can't repair your car and come back 15 laps to win the race. You're better off just sitting back a little bit, trying to just collect the points as the race goes on, and then if an opportunity opens up, that's when you can be the opportunist. That's when you can sort of get your nose in and get the place and potentially pick up a few extra points here and there and be a bit more of a gambler because the race is played out, right? And there's less laps left, and it's the end of the race where you score the points, not the start.
Him effectively in a 3-way tie for 9th in the standings. And so this is going to be a big bump for him. But the Pim strat, I guess, is what we're calling it. Reminds me very much of the Gary strat when I used to run. Just keep all the action in front of you, stay on the lead lap, make it to the end, and all of a sudden, if you stay on the lead lap and make it to the end, the results just kind of come to you. And if Christensen has to stop on pit road, which is sounding like he might have to, Christensen last time by a 2:11, Pim van Gastel a 2:14. Christensen might have to come to pit road, Pim back into a top 5, but still a lot to be decided up front with now 13 to go. We got a car sideways off of turn 2 down the backstretch, and that is Dory. That is Dory in one of the pink and blue cars. That is day done for Jamie in 12th spot, as he's going to retire that car with a bad front nose and a bad front left wishbone there.
He doesn't even touch the wall off of turn 2. The rear just comes round, he loses all traction and finds himself, he's very high into turn 1 actually, so maybe this is a new line that he's been trying out over the last couple of laps. Gets a little bit high over the crest off of turn 2 and bang.
The back end just kept coming around, maybe too much weight jacker, warming that right rear up a little bit. And Julien would have loved to see a caution there. The leaders did not want to see it, and we're now coming up on 10 to go here very shortly, as Liam O'Sullivan has pulled out and has extended his lead to 1.5 seconds, more than 1.5 seconds, and that means that he has broken the draft window to Lal. Lal cannot get any more benefit of the draft down the straights, and in fact, Julien now could probably get a little bit benefit from Lal, as he is now 1.4 behind Lal, and he's in his draft window. Julien might be able to come up and start battling Lal here in the closing stages, but if we have no cautions, it looks like Liam O'Sullivan is now on cruise control with less than 10 to go, coming to his first win if we don't see a late caution.
Well, you can never write off anything considering the history of this race so far. We've had so much action, so much, heart in mouth moments, so many things that we just didn't really expect. But Julien Altena now in 3rd place. He's passed all the back markers that O'Sullivan and Lal had to deal with earlier on in the stint. So it is literally now car in front is Aman Lau, and you can see just in the background there as Liam came through turn 2, you could see Altena in the background, probably I'd say the best part of 10 car lengths behind Lau. You can see there the gap briefly, and I think it's potentially a little bit of alarm symbols going off in the cockpit of that number 13 car, because he's dropped the best part of, not the best part of, he actually has now dropped 2 seconds off of the leading number 63. So there obviously is some sort of fuel saving that needs to still be continuing in that number 13 car, and like you say, it's going to be like a shark smelling blood. Altena's going to be all over that if he can make it to the end and if he doesn't end up using too much fuel.
And O'Sullivan is now 42 laps into his current stint, and if he brings this car home, he's doing a 50-lap stint, and we've seen drivers do 50 lap but have cautions involved, so is he saving enough to bring it home? I'm looking at his in-car right now. From my point of view, I don't hear lifting. I hear 100% throttle. He's keeping it out of the blue in the rev range. So he's not doing full burn. He might be doing a little bit of save. He might have dialed down the engine mapping a little bit. but he might still have to make it a little bit. So at this point in time, he coming to 5 to go, he thinks he might have enough.
Yeah, it's just going to be one of those anxious waiting games, I think, till we find out, you know, once we get to sort of 2 to go and then the white flag, we're going to really sort of know what the game plan is. But I think that, you know, if O'Sullivan isn't saving, if he's not lifting, if you've been watching on board on your side of things and he's sort of driving relatively normal, I reckon that he's okay. I reckon that he may have turned the engine mode down 1 or 2 clicks when he was behind Lau at the start of the stint. Remember when he was sort of chilling out and I thought that he was not going to be able to make it. Maybe that was when he was using the draft to his benefit by using the lower engine mode, and because he sat behind Lau for a decent few laps, he's been able to build that buffer of fuel and now sort of pick up the pace a little bit more, whereas Lau is now needing to do more of the saving, and Julien is looking to be hot on his heels with 4 to go. We'll see how quickly he can catch Aman Lau in front, but I think that there's a decent chance of it coming off of turn 2 with the leader now.
3 to go, and a little bit of inside baseball. We're going to talk about the engine map. The drivers are able to, there are 8 positions that they can change the engine mapping to on these cars. 1 is full burn. Then 2, 3, 4, and 5 are your race speed burns. 5 is the lowest. 6 and 7 have to do with throttle response, and they are more used on road courses. And 8 is used for under caution for maximum save. You can use that under race conditions if you need to do emergency save, but right now it doesn't look like that might be the case for O'Sullivan coming off of 4. White flag in the air, 1.5 miles to go here at Charlotte for round 3 of the GIC. Next up is Fuji. But we're going to have another road course, another oval finish here, coming to the back straight one more time for Liam O'Sullivan, who looks like he might be able to bring this thing home. Aman Lau in a distant second now in the middle of the backstretch, making the turn for home. Liam O'Sullivan, checkered flag is out. First win in the GIC for Liam. Aman Lau is going to bring it home in second spot, and Julien Altena brings it home in third.
I think where Julien went wrong there was literally trying to stay out a little bit longer to make the overcut work. I think that really sacrificed his race. If he sort of bit the bullet and went with the 2 leaders in the same time that you know, without the massive overstint and overpush, I think that this could have been a much closer finish than that. But nonetheless, that was a very, very well-controlled race from O'Sullivan. Only up 1 place, so he's been at the front the best part of, well over half the race, with 141 laps led today. It was a rather strong showing from him, so maybe we'll see some more strong performances as he now decides that this is the time to start mounting his championship challenge.
Apparently he has enough fuel to do some burnouts. And speaking of enough fuel, I think Christensen's pit threw us off. They bluffed us. He made it. So he made it on his last stint. He did 53 laps. Vogelzang did 51.
Wow.
Liam O'Sullivan did 49. Gavin Gardner did 50 on his last stint. So maximum fuel save for a lot of these drivers. Got them into the 50-lap window. Let's get into today's final results. Keep in mind these could be unofficial, so we will bring those up in here. Liam O'Sullivan is your winner by 2.7 seconds. Might as well have been 2 laps or 2 miles, just the way that we see IndyCar finishes here at some of these tracks. That is a big, big margin of victory for Liam. Aman Lau second, to Julien Altena in third, Christensen in fourth. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Great day for Altena Autosports. Pim van Gastel did back his way into a top 5. Vogelzang had to give up a position. I think it might have been Gardner actually got up in the top 5 and then in there and had to fall back because of that lap. I don't remember Pim passing Vogelzang late, but Pim did get that top 5. So best in class for Pim. Vogelzang in 6th, Hatsuma in 7th, Gardner falls to 8th. Sissek with a little bit of the lawn care early on in this race. He comes home in 9th. Not a bad day after the way it started. And Silvazi Vair quietly comes home at 10th, unfortunately bit in the butt by that early pit stop he had a couple stints ago, and then the caution came out shortly thereafter. That kind of relegated him to 1 lap down for the remainder of this race, but he does come home in 10th. Going to the next page, here's Charpentier in 11th, Ortiz in 12th, Dory 13th. We got Strecke at 14th, Fiolis 15th. A lot of these guys here now from Fiolis on down had some issues. Stock, Nunez, Heisman, Rice, Eftink, as the remainder of your top 20 all had some sort of contact with walls today. And then our final page of Deck and Vinci in 21st and 22nd. Early days for them. That rounds out your 22-car field here at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the heart of the South.
One thing I actually wanted to just say before we head into the interviews is John Christensen is the only driver to make the entire race distance on 3 stops. I just wanted to point that out. I mean, we can't talk too much about it now because obviously his finishing position is cemented as P4 provisionally, but I just think that was a rather incredible drive from him to make it on that 3 stops.
Yeah, that says a lot, and he did it on 3 stops, and then he finished right where he started. He finished 4th, started 4th. In fact, the guys up in front, they had an extra stop more than him, but they all managed to finish, basically where they kind of started as well. But the only person there really in that top 5 group was Eftink, who had that incident where it put him into the wall. That's kind of the only guy that started in the top 5 that didn't pay off with a better finish. But we do have Liam O'Sullivan joining us here in the booth. I guess the first question, Liam, I'm going to ask you is you did almost 50 laps on that last stint. I think that was your longest run of the day. You did this thing in the 4 stops. That's what you kind of came into the booth we were talking about, as Christensen did it under 3. But the 4 stops, how much was left in the tank? Obviously, you had enough to do some burnouts there at the start-finish line, but really, how much did you finish with?
Yeah, I ran out doing donuts there. I mean, super happy there with the win. My donuts were a bit scuffed there at the end. I was super happy with the win because I haven't won since the summer, since I went on my kind of mini league around tour of all the American sort of leagues to just race new and different people. So it's great to stop finishing the 2nd and 3rd streak and get back winning. If I looked at the schedule at the start of the season, this was probably the last place I thought I was going to win. I thought I'd run strong, but no, it's obviously all of us had the same setup on as well, so there was discussions and we worked on it together. So I think Luis Nunez had something for us, but really it was just when he put himself in the war. I don't know what fully happened to him. It put me in control of the race. Aman gave me a good run there at the end. I felt I had everyone covered, bar him was always going to be the tight one, but I don't know. I was dealing with a loose car all race long, and it definitely in the final 20 laps of each stint, I had the best car. For whatever reason, everyone was struggling with a tight condition. I felt loose. I was actually going to take front wing out of the car, where everyone else was a bit like, I'm very tight in 3 and 4. So no, the car was really good today for me. And across all, I mean, it's a great team result with the top 4. So we're super happy as a team, and I'm obviously super happy in a championship perspective and to be back to winning ways.
2 questions from me, and we'll let you get to your shout-outs. First of all, I mean, when you said that your car was better later in the run, but you were all on the same setup, do you think that kind of came down to that maybe you had better tire management? And my follow-up question on top of that is, how did the hybrid play into today's race, being the first time using the hybrid here at this racetrack?
Hybrid didn't really play a factor. Just for me, I was uncontested really at the end for the last 30, so I didn't really get to use it. I was a bit nervous about using it as well, especially off of turn 4. You get so loose that if you're putting more power into it, I was just worried that that's a recipe for disaster. And yeah, it's working together for a team. I just think, as you said, tyre management suited me. I was happy to let Aman go for the first 10-15 laps of that stint and run in front of me, just because he's more likely to, in a way, overcook his tyres if he hasn't got that marker in front of him. So that's why I let him go when we caught up to Heitzman of the lap car there, just to give him the lead. But then it's also very easy for you to cook your tyres, which as soon as I passed him, that's when I drove off into the distance a bit. Just, again, a bit of mind games and more of a mental battle, which otherwise he would have been with me there at the end, I think, if I kept leading. But no, the slight edge over him, I think, on that front today gave me the win quite comfortably, even though it felt quite close all race long.
First win in the GIC, 7 different winners in the history of the GIC. Congratulations. Shout outs, friends, family, sponsors, anyone you want to say hi to before we let you go?
Yeah, firstly, the whole team. I mean, it's a brilliant team result. We locked out the front 5 in qualifying, which is insane. And I think we had about 2 temps on everybody. Obviously, we didn't have a Jesper or a Carl here either, and Lewis didn't qualify, I don't think. But no, nonetheless, we still dominated qualifying and dominated the race. Kept 4 of our 5 cars in it. Just a shout out to Rodin as well. He put in a lot of work for this race, and it was a shame what happened to him there. He would have been right at the front in that fight for the win with us. Obviously, mum, dad, grandparents I know are watching. It's good to be back to winning ways. Alzheimer's Association as always, and to you guys for the amazing broadcasts that carry on, and to the league. I know Pim puts a lot of work into running this one on the Wednesdays. So we'll move on. I think I'm in a great position in the championship now. We'll head to Fuji with a lot of confidence and try and lock this thing out and seal the championship.
Congratulations on the win. And we will hopefully catch you at the next one if we go to Fuji. But good to get the monkey off the back, and a great way to start the new year with a win fresh into it. Congrats, and we'll catch you at the next one, Liam.
Yep, thanks, guys.
And with Aman Lal is JJ. JJ, go right ahead.
Right, so Aman Lal, how'd you find that one, buddy? I mean, it sort of looked from a commentary perspective that the biggest challenge that you guys out on track faced today wasn't each other and wasn't the other cars, but mainly was the circuit.
Yeah, it was quite difficult to drive around the temperatures because it was changing quite a lot throughout the race. I think the lowest it got was like 36 degrees, and then it got to 42 within 10 laps. So you just had to stay on top of the tires to make sure you don't cook that front right, which is quite difficult around here in traffic as well.
Yeah, we heard Liam in just before we started speaking to you saying that the tire management was definitely a big deciding factor on the win, and he thinks that he managed to potentially manage them a little bit better sitting behind you at the start of the final stint. Did you want to sort of try and let him back past, or were you just trying to conserve the win and trying to keep the lead and try and win from the front, so to say?
Yeah, no, I was happy to stay in front. But as soon as we got up to some back markers, I think I used a bit more of the tire than he did, and then towards the end of the stint, that's what made the difference. Otherwise, I might have been able to give him a bit more of a fight at the end. But yeah, fair play to him. He done a great job today.
Just one more from me. I mean, with the qualifying results that you guys had, locking out the front 5 spots on the grid, that must fill you with confidence in the team that you've got around you, in the ability to build these setups for these open championships and really put their best foot forward for the team and for their drivers.
Yeah, exactly. We spent a lot of time on getting these setups to drive as fast as they can in these higher temperatures. So going forward, it's going to be we'll have a lot of confidence in ourselves to know we can do a good job with the setups and be competitive at the same time.
I can imagine that's always the thing that you look for in a team. Anyway, before I let you go, is there anyone you want to say thank you to or shout out just before you go?
Yeah, got to thank the team, to be honest, because we spent so much time preparing for this race. And also thanks to you guys and Pim for organizing it and putting the broadcast on for everyone.
Amazing. Well, I'll let you go. I'll let you enjoy the highs of having a triple podium and a good result for you in the championship. And I hope to see you up at the front fighting again next time out at Fuji.
Yeah, see you next time.
Aman Lal, Gary.
And we will bring in the boss man of the Altena Autosports team on the bottom step. Good day for your team, Julien. 1, 2, 3. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. It could have easily been 1, 2, 3, 5 if things unfolded a little bit differently for your 5th driver there. But we knew for sure that you had the fuel and maybe the better tires if we got into a late race situation late caution that you might have been to make a run for it. But I know maybe staying out late in that last run, the undercut, maybe what got you there. What are you thinking there? And well, just congratulations. You got to be feeling on one end you got undercut, but on the other end, you know, it was at least your drivers that beat you on your team.
Yeah, we have a really strong setup here, and everyone, spent time to get the setup dialed in. I tried a last ditch effort to try something of my own, which I did think was better, but decided against it because it was too close, and I just wanted to stick with what we had. But yeah, just really unlucky for Rodin. He got taken out by somebody who apparently didn't look in his mirror. So yeah, on a team behalf, I'm a little bit upset to not get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But yeah, it was a good race overall. I don't know if you mentioned, but I really tried to employ my infamous Michigan DW12 strategy here by pitting really late and try to fly by everyone. And it was a combination of a few things, like the track is much narrower. Of course, it's also shorter, but I don't think that mattered too much. So there was just less room to pass lapped cars, and I just got stuck behind two of them, as did the Aman and Liam, of course. But yeah, as for my charge, that really held me back, and yeah, kind of just boxed me into a position that I really couldn't do anything. So yeah, like you say, I got undercut, but it was by design. I was gonna go as long as I could anyway. My main goal was to get lucky with the yellow, which of course didn't come. But the point of the strategy was to overcut, and I think it worked out. I didn't lose anything. I put myself in contention at least for improving a position, maybe even get the win. It's a bit 50-50, isn't it? You either get it or you don't. So yeah, not really too disappointed. Of course, it would have been nice to get the full top 5 lockout for the team, but we did great overall as a group. So nothing to really say on that. Just a really good, solid race overall.
Halfway through the championship, defending series champion, third place at the midway point in the midway point race. You might now be waiting for points to be updated here. You might have moved your way up into second. How's it looking now? How you feeling about maybe backing up this championship? Yeah, and the points have been updated. You have moved up to second now. You're 21 behind Liam. And you got 3 more races left. Do you think you got a shot to make to repeat on this championship? How you feeling?
It's gonna be tough. Fuji is not my strongest track, and the last race as well at Interlagos, I've never really raced there. I forgot we have Phoenix in there too. Well, I suppose Phoenix is good for me, but no, the other two, I'm not really that confident. But then again, Liam wasn't thinking he would win this one, so maybe I'll win those 2. I don't know. But it's going to be difficult. I believe Luis is moving to a different place, different country even. So I'm not sure how many races he will be doing, 1 or 2 more. But I last I heard, I don't think he is finishing out the season because of those reasons. So, it would be the ideal plot twist if he did do all of the races. But I'm not really considering him because of that information. So it's just going to be between me and Liam, I think, for the rest of the season. So beating him is going to be tough with the same setups. I just checked Garage 61 just to be sure we actually did run the exact same thing, minus the red front change I made at one of the stops. So yeah, he's telling the truth. We ran the same thing. I hardly believed he was that good today, but we'll see what happens the next the second half of the season, I suppose.
Well, shout outs, friends, family, sponsors, anyone who want to say hi to. I mean, on one hand, like I said, you didn't get the win. You're still in contention for the championship, but you got to feel really proud about the team. A really good showing for the team today.
Yeah, like I touched upon, everyone spent a lot of time, and there have been times in the team's history, as you will know, that things were maybe a little bit tense and not everyone really working together, and I think we really changed that around. I actually want to thank Dan Morera and Luke Daniels for saying those things that needed to be said when they left the team 3 years ago, and yeah, really, it's because of them that I kind of changed my mindset of what I wanted from the team, and there's one driver in particular who doesn't really follow that same procedures, but everyone else does. But it's working out. So yeah, I want to thank everyone for their effort, especially for this race, but just everything in general, because we're really getting somewhere with setups. Even though I'm making setups and making the baselines, they know what to change to make it go as fast as it does. So I'm laying the groundwork and they just do the rest. So it's working for us, and I hope we can keep going and maybe challenge some bigger dogs in the community soon. But yeah, we'll see. Just really good team day overall. Just the setup, it was fantastic. So thanks to everyone again.
Third on the racetrack, second in the points, but always number one in our hearts. Julien Altena finishing third today with 3 more races to go in the GIC. Thanks, Julien.
Thank you guys as well.
JJ, looking at the points, Liam O'Sullivan with a 21-point lead over Julien, who has a slim margin over Luis Nunez, with the news that we just heard that Luis might not be able to close out the season. That makes third place now in play for Vogelzang, who is in 4th spot. Pim van Gastel is in 5th. Amon Lal 6th in the points. Hatsuma 7th. Sissik 8th. Gardner 9th. And Salvazi in 10th. Interesting, the top 10 pretty much echoes the top 10 of this race for the most part, with the outside of Luis Nunez, who did a DNF. It says something about drivers to watch now, with 2 more road courses and 1 more oval to go for the remainder of this season. But interesting day here at the racetrack, and a dominant day for Altena Autosports. But 3 more races to go, and this championship's still up in the air.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. I mean, the next 2 races, well, 2 of the next 3 races that we've got coming up are, as you said, road courses. And I think that everyone has just sort of started to settle back into the oval sort of things, you know, with Indianapolis and now Charlotte just being completed. I think that the real oval guys have managed to get their head in gear and managed to, you know, climb themselves back up the table. But as you say, you know, we've got Fuji, then we've got another oval, and then we close out with Interlagos. So I think that that's really going to shake a few things up. But I think that the championship is going to be extremely close between Liam O'Sullivan at the moment and Julien Altena. Those 2 VOR guys, I think, are going to be very, very close in terms of performance for the championship, because from what I know, they're both pretty good on road courses if they put the time in. But on ovals, as we've seen today, you know, they're both very, very capable of winning races. Julien, even knowing exactly what he did wrong in the race to be able to come away with the 3rd place instead of the win, I think that is a very telling sign that we've got 2 very experienced guys going for this championship.
All right, well, that will wrap us up for today. Once again, your podium here from Charlotte is Liam O'Sullivan, the first career win here in the GIC, 7th different winner here in the history of the league, gets the win today. Amon Lal comes in 2nd, Julien Altena 3rd, moves up to 2nd in the points, and we have 3 races to go left in the championship. Join us again Wednesday, January 21st, when the season continues for round 4 of the Global IndyCar Challenge Series, as the teams and drivers head to Japan and Fuji International Speedway. Coverage will begin approximately 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the 21st. Again, that's 3:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Remember, as always, for the correct time in your area, you can find everything right here on YouTube at youtube.com. Just search out Velocity Online Racing. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game is not easy, so please help Julien support Julien in the channel with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below. Let us know your thought of today's race, and if you enjoyed today's coverage, support us by smashing like in the video. If you do, click subscribe, and while you're at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders so don't miss out on more Velocity's other online racing Velocity Online Racing's iRacing coverage, including the International IndyCar Series and, of course, the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship. To learn more about Velocity Online Racing and what they do, visit velocityonlineracing.com. You can like them on Facebook. You can follow them on X. And that will wrap us up for today. So for JJ, the General Howie Burrows on the control board, and everyone here at Velocity Online Racing, I'm Gary Gotzo saying all happy Wednesday, and thanks for watching, and all of our men and women serving in the military and as first responders. Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Catch us again right here January 21st at Fuji in the next race of the Global IndyCar Challenge Championship. Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.